Welcome to the new and improved Wolf Pack. I'm your host, Mike, and with me is the Fang Man himself, Jeff.
That's kind of scary.
Hey, I had to do something in celebration of the new Space Wolves coming out. You got your shirt on.
Yeah.
YouTube
Morning, David.
exploding with people now being fanboys of Space Wolves. It's the latest and greatest thing out there since sliced bread.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a mixed bag depending on where you're reading, because some guys, because there's not a lot of stuff in it, from what I understand, and there's a lot of changes and a lot of things left out. So it's been kind of a mixed bag. I've been following the forums; it's up and down. But I think actually overall, from what I've read so far, it'll be pretty good. So.
You know, it's just part of the process.
I have been through so many editions now, and so many changes and codex creep and everything else. It just kind of rolls off me because I don't really give it any credence. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll wait till I play it and see how it goes.
Well, and you're not a competitive player. You're a fanboy. To you, it's all about the lore, and you're in a different camp. You love just painting the miniatures, and you don't care if it's firstborn, secondborn, Primera sized, whatever. You don't really care.
They're just cool. Now, I will say though, from what I have looked at it, it seems the book seems rushed. It seems like because there's a lot of contradictions within the book about the Space Wolves, but we'll see how it goes. So,
but that's the trend these days with anything put out. There's always, because they've got this mentality, and that it's not a GW thing specifically. Is we'll just put out an errata, or we'll just do
it. And the other thing, they've got the app. I mean, the app's phenomenal. I love the app. So they can really make the printed material becomes obsolete pretty much the minute it goes into print. They also got to print so far in advance. And while they're waiting for that print run, the game advances, things change.
Right.
So it's like the Leagues of Votan book was the worst one. Within 7 days, the book I had was completely obsolete. Space Wolf, the contradictions I'm talking about are like there's a huge paragraph in the book about Longfangs.
Okay.
Which are basically the devastators for the Space Wolves. You can't take Longfangs. They're not even listed in the data sheets. They talk about Skyclaws, and they're not in the book. Skyclaws are basically blood claws of jump packs. They're talked about. There's a paragraph about them. They describe them. They're not a data sheet. You can't play them.
Yeah.
So and there's other things in it that lead me to believe that there's a new edition coming, because some of the rules in there kind of aren't 10th.
Okay.
So, but
David's just kind of laughing about GW.
Well, I think they rushed it to get it out before 11th.
Yeah. And they're talking 11th later this year, or is that the rumor?
The rumor is sometime between now and this time next year. But I think it's just they just want to get the book out, because again, and it dawned on me when I was looking at it, I was like, this really is odd. And then I went, wait a minute, the printed book can't change, but the app can change instantly.
Yeah.
And I have yet to play a game of 10th edition where I'm referencing my books,
right,
or the data cards. I'm on my app. I'm on my phone. And that gives me the most updated rules. So that's probably their mindset. So we'll see where it goes. So.
Well, just morning, Tim. I noticed David was in the chat. I just wanted to give a big shout out to the excellent customer service that David provided me when I was at Andy's Hobby headquarters on Saturday. David is an excellent salesperson and very knowledgeable of the products. I'm trying to really butter him up here. And he was also going to show me a new model kit. Unfortunately, Andy was recording at the time, so he couldn't show it to me, but I saw the video that Andy put out. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
And it's a pre-painted model kit.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a little bit like Gundam. You know how Gundam comes with
molded in colors. Yep.
Molded in colors. This is one step further, though. It's actually painted and anodized, and all you really do is assemble it, and you're done.
Right.
So he couldn't show it to me, but I got to see the video, so it was interesting.
There are some die-cast cars in 124 scale that are like that. They come as a model kit.
Yep.
And you just they're all painted and everything's done. You just kind of basically assemble them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they're motorcycles, but they're like crotch rockets, so not really the kind of motorcycles that I'm into. It'd be cool, but I'm sure the Harley license is probably a little on the expensive side.
A tiny bit.
I
have to say this. I actually found a meme or a reel on Instagram. I think that's better way to put it. A reel on Instagram that absolutely described me to a T.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a guy on a crotch rocket, cruising, and he keeps looking over to his right. Camera pans to a guy and this guy's on a crotch rocket, to an older guy on a big ass cruiser, and he's cruising down the highway painting miniatures. And he's literally steering the bike he's leaning like this, keep the bike straight, but he's doing this. It was awesome. I was like, that's me right there. That's me.
Well, you're getting ready for that latest tournament you're going to, so you got to get those last few. You're trying for best of show, so you got to get those last few brushstrokes in.
I thought it was funny. So.
Yeah, but yeah, so I got to see David. Got to buy another model kit.
Got to, yeah.
Well, I had to because he persuaded me.
Would have anyway.
It was his awesome salesmanship that forced me to buy yet another model kit.
I went out yesterday and spent my hard-earned hobby money on rocks. Rock on. Rocks and trees.
Yay. Oh, tree bark. Yeah. I wonder what you're going to do with the rocks and the trees.
Well, I haven't been able to start yet, but I am piecing together the materials for my spatial basis for my new wolves.
Very cool. So you're going to do custom. David forced me to buy the model kit.
Well, absolutely.
So
he's like that. He's very persistent. We wouldn't have played Conflict 47 or any of the games that he got involved in had he not come in and made us. He threatened me one day.
Yeah. Oh, he threatened me.
Damn.
So I had to play. I'm still looking forward to the new version of Conflict 47 coming out.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it.
It's sparking my interest. Good morning, David.
Good morning,
David. So I'm looking forward to that second. Mike looked really scared. I always look scared when I'm at a hobby show.
Well, I'm surprised Andy was with you. He's normally not afraid when Andy's around. She protects him.
Yeah, well, and Andy himself was at the store, so.
No, Andy, your wife.
No, I'm saying both Andys were there.
Oh, both Andys were there. Oh, maybe they canceled each other out.
So it was kind of cool. But yeah, and it was good to have Mark on last week.
Yeah, it was great. Very great. Absolutely.
Had so much fun just talking to Mark and learning a little bit more about him. And the fact that we both were born in the same place in Michigan was kind of a quinky dink. And it is flaming my interest. And okay. So yeah, it was kind of neat to just hang out and talk with Mark. And Jake's asking how your wolves are coming.
Slowly, very slowly.
Well, you got the basing material, so he's getting.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
All the changes. I'm just busy right now. So
yeah. You know how I do those wonky intros?
Yes.
Okay. They actually paid off for me finally.
What happened?
I joined Toastmasters again.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of the things in Toastmasters, they do table topics, which is like impromptu speaking. And we had to do the impromptu speaking was how to introduce somebody.
Right.
And I had to introduce a lemon as somebody.
I
had to do a total off the cuff introduce a lemon to the crowd. It was just funny because I did what I typically do here, and it just went over great.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's it's always good when your hobby skills come into like real life practices. So yeah, it was fun. But anywho, that's all I wanted to share.
Well, awesome, fantastic. Doing any hobbying?
I've got 3 of my corn models really close to being finished. Now I'm at the detail work with the leather pants and the leather straps and that kind of stuff. And then I got 2 more of the sword. I'm gonna just call them sword maidens. They're morning, Joe.
Morning, Joe.
They're sword masters, I think, in more time, but I'm just gonna call them sword maidens because I didn't want to say shield maidens because that's a Viking thing, even though corn's kind of Vikingish. So, well, think shirtless, bearded, long-haired people. That's as close as they get.
That's half the motorcycle clubs in the country.
Yes, yes. But these guys have abs, not kegs.
Fair enough.
So I got 2 of my sword maidens all, cleaned up and primed and ready to go. So this way I can continue to transition. So as I finish these up, I can start putting base coats down on those. So I'm just constantly working on something. Yes, David, Toastmasters is a public speaking club. However, it's got leadership development and a lot of other aspects to it. But yes, the basic principle is public speaking. Learn and practice public speaking. I used to compete with public speaking.
I joined to learn how to not burn my bread when I put it in the toaster.
Wrong Toastmasters.
It worked for me.
Yeah, I was a member of a local club back in the early 2000s for like 4 or 5 years.
And, look at you growing as a person.
Well, I'm just trying to get out of my comfort zone again, and I'm looking at different things to help me with that. So nothing better than being uncomfortable in front of a group of people telling stories and giving a speech and all that stuff. Plus I also had on Thursday my first sergeant retired.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, well, we were talking. I didn't say.
We talked about before the show.
Yeah, and I had to give a speech, and I went up there and gave a very emotional speech, just simply because he's, in certain fields, your first sergeant, your FTO, those are like the 2 most important people in our fields that you're going to attach the most to. And charisma. Yes, you do have a high charisma score, Jake. And the gift of gab.
That's also true.
That is really true. So anyways, I gave that speech, and it was one of those speeches I get. Sometimes when you do those really emotional things in life, you forget about them after you're done with them because you kind of laid everything out there. And that was one of those speeches where I don't remember giving the speech.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, because I was focused on sharing my story.
Awesome.
Are you the first sergeant now? Did you? No, I'm not a sergeant. I am not.
It's not Thunderdome.
It's not Thunderdome. It should be Thunderdome, man. That would be epic.
One man leaves as first sergeant. I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, no, I'm not a sergeant. Don't plan to be a sergeant. Never. I plan to retire. In 2 years, I plan to be done with it all, and I have to. I also had to go to the dermatologist, and they're cutting stuff off my body because I'm out in the sun all day, and when you're in a vehicle all day, the sun radiates through the glass, and I get things that have to be cut off my body to be tested. So, yeah.
Because you live under a magnifying glass.
I do.
But it's Arizona and it's hot.
Yes. Mike was like Will Ferrell school at the debate.
I think that works nicely. That's very good. That is a high charisma.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is crazy hot in Arizona, and it's not. It hasn't. We haven't peaked 110 yet, but it's supposed to happen today.
We cracked down here. I think we cracked 90 yesterday, and I just wanted to go home.
Is you're in an office though, right?
Yeah, but it's still hot when I walk out. It's the same in Arizona. Living in Arizona is this: leaving an air-conditioned building, getting into what will soon be an air-conditioned car, getting out of the air-conditioned car into what is an air-conditioned building. It's the trips between the two that you remember.
The only difference between Arizona and where you live is there's a high possibility we could ignite on fire as we walk to our car.
We can't ignite here because not only is it hot, but the moisture in the air is so high, nothing can burn. So
look at Jake, a perfect 72 yesterday.
I'm moving to Quincy.
Quincy,
Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I was born in Quincy, Ohio. I think it's Kismet.
Kismet, there you go.
I was born in Quincy, Ohio. I'm going to go and die in Quincy, Massachusetts.
David, you're absolutely correct. Unless the AC is not working in your car, that will make your life hard.
I don't know how Shara and I did it when we moved to Arizona back in 1990, because the car we had on the drive out, the car's AC went out, and we drove that car for 2 years with no AC in Arizona, having just moved. I don't know how we did it.
You were younger then. You were much younger then.
That might have something to do with
it. And then David's talking about how the heat with the seat belts, and because they lock you right into your seat, and you can't air your back out.
Mine is grabbing the steering wheel.
and David, people will be pulling out the oven mitts soon. It is not uncommon to see people in Arizona driving with something on there, and I've seen the oven mitt. I drive all day, so I see everybody, and I see all the crazy.
It's the only place that even on my motorcycle, I wore driving gloves because it was the only way to actually do it when you first get in the car.
Well, and it's hard. Like leather gloves are like then your hands get all sweaty and
yeah.
I had to close my windows down yesterday because of blowing. Yeah.
That was my motorcycle. Once it hits 95,
done.
Even on a motorcycle, because normally you're on a motorcycle, if the temperature is below 95 degrees, the breeze that you're hitting on a motorcycle cools you down.
Yeah.
Because it's cooler. But once you cross 95 degrees, the air coming over you actually gets hotter. So like 95 degrees is something like 98 with the wind hitting you.
Yep.
And it's insane.
All you got to do is take a hair dryer, or I'd actually, for Arizona, take a heat gun and just turn it on and blow it in your face. You'll get to enjoy what it's like to ride a motorcycle in Arizona in the summertime.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And as I've said, and why I moved, you're not supposed to live there.
No, but I do, because I'm just a one can short of a 6-pack, and that's just how I roll.
My daughter's leaving and delivering cupcakes.
Oh, where?
She was up all night baking because she bakes stuff for people on the side. She just walked by my window with a stack of cupcakes. I'm like, I hope she stopped by the apartment.
Did you put one by the door? What's going on?
All I get to do is taste the icing when she's not sure if the icing's right. She knocks on my door at all hours. Can you see if this is okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind.
It's all good. It's all good.
And I agree with Jake. Jake's smarter than me because he made the decision without having to go and experience it and live there.
So. You can always come visit.
I'm incredibly stupid because I moved out, came here, and then moved back.
Yeah, you had to relive that torment and that torture.
So. I was like, I'm not sure if it's that hot out there. I'm gonna go check again.
Yeah, I'm gonna go put my finger out the door.
It is. It's hot.
Check. It's hot. Are you gonna talk about your daughter, or?
I had planned on it.
Okay, then I won't say anything.
I had a and I'm sorry, I didn't even bring it up before in our pre-show talk. I had the honor this week. If you haven't seen my Facebook post, my middle daughter was honored by the school board of Cecil County because she had one of her students fell off the top of a slide and dislocated his elbow, but it dislocated so bad that it compounded.
Ooh.
and he had a 8 to 10 inch laceration all around his arm, and it was bleeding profusely. And he would have bled out before the ambulance got there because the school they were at was a rural school.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a response time. But she properly applied a tourniquet and sat there with her hand over the wound, in the wound, keeping it from bleeding, keeping him from going into shock. And so the school board gave her a heroism award, and I was a very proud dad.
Very cool.
And it was really funny because there was a ton of her teachers and her principal and other nurses from the county were there to kind of support her. And my youngest daughter came to be there for this ceremony and brought my new grandbaby with her little daughter Evie. And so I gave up my front row seat, and I went to the back of the room and stood because I wanted Zoe and Evie to be up front in the chair, not standing in the back of the room.
Right.
Well, at the end of it, Aria had to go and shake hands with all the school board members, which is kind of an L shape around the room. So she had to walk all the way around it. And I happened to be at the door, but there were like 4 or 5 people in front of me. And me being me, when she gets to the end of the row, she's only like 4 or 5 feet away from where I was standing. And the last 2 people gave her a big hug because they knew her. And I just pushed my way through the group when she got done. My turn. And I gave her this big old bear hug, told her how proud I was of her. And then I start crying. And I knew I'd made the crowd mad when I kind of just literally went out of my way. Big man wants to go see what's going on. Gave her a hug. I come back and I got tears running down my face. I was so proud of her. And if you knew what she's been through in life to get to that point, you would understand. And as I'm walking back and I'm crying, the angry faces that I saw when I broke through were now going, oh, yeah, it's my daughter. And but we just found out this week. She called me, and my daughter does not like all this attention at all. And I put the video on as well. You can see she's just not comfortable. But we just found out this week that the county executive board is also presenting her with an award later this month, because it was that close to that little boy not being here anymore, and she did a great job. And I'm really proud of her. I'm really proud. And if you ask her, it was the boy that was the hero. She doesn't want any accolades, but she deserves them. She's phenomenal.
Now, she works at a school?
She's a school nurse at a school here in Cecil County.
I just wanted to make sure I had the right daughter because I knew one of your daughters was in the nursing industry.
Yeah, she's a school nurse in Cecil County here. And if you go to my Facebook page, I posted some pictures and I posted a video where the actual head of the school board explains what actually happened. I'm just I couldn't be more proud of her because she's also had she struggled through school. If you ever heard me describe my kids, I always say the family's going this way when she was younger, and Ari was always like 13 degrees off center. She always marched to her own drummer. She just didn't.
She was the independent one. She's
massively independent.
Yeah.
And she struggled in school. She was really on the wrong path. And when she was younger, I was really worried about her. And then she got pregnant. Mm-hmm. She came in. And one of the things I know about Aria is she's never lied to me. No matter how horrible it is, she would tell me, and I'd have to kind of deal with it. And she came and told me she was pregnant. We had a long chat about it. And she was in this situation where I really wasn't sure where she was going to end up because she was 18 and we weren't, she was actually older. I think she was 21, 22 at this point. And the minute she found out she was pregnant, she did a 180-degree turn. Her entire life became about my granddaughter.
Right.
And that little baby she was going to have. And she's done that. And she's gone through all that to working for the school system that at one point in time told her she wasn't going to be anything. She had three of her instructors in school because she struggled in school.
Right.
And three of the teachers she had over the years told her she would never amount to anything. And she's had the unbelievable privilege of running into those 3 teachers as she began working as a school nurse. And as my daughter, she handled it as my daughter. Because 2 of them were just kind of, oh, Aria, it's good to see you again. Didn't say anything. And so I was like, yep, you too, and moved on, and then called me about it. Dad, you wouldn't believe how I just met. The third one decided to go the route of let's rewrite history. Gave Arya a big hug. Said, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. I always knew you'd make something of yourself." And Arya just goes, "The F you did," and just rips into her, which is definitely a Jeff's daughter thing. So, but yeah, I'm very proud of her.
David wants your tears because Space Wolf tears are supposed to be magical. And Matthew, I don't know if you're still with us or not. I see you popped in. Matthew recently accomplished a certificate. Now he is a certified, I believe it's arson investigator, fire arson investigator. Awesome. So Matthew's on a different trajectory to start learning more about, I guess we'll call it crime scene scene stuff.
Yeah, arson investigation is actually a pretty interesting field.
Yeah, so congratulations, Matthew. It's nice to know that you're moving along in your career as I am ending fire arson. That's it.
Yeah.
Fire arson investigation, which is, fire. If you watch Backdraft, fire dances its own way. So
it does its own thing. I will post pictures next week of the ceremony, and I'll post a video. But I'm pretty proud of her, and it's just awesome when people start accomplishing what they set out to do, because it's just what life's about, really.
Yep, determination and having a goal. That's what everything is. So
mine are my little miniatures have grown up, and
your 1-to-1 miniatures.
Yeah.
Post the ceremony.
Yeah, so, I will. I'll put on the Discord.
There you go. That would be very very good for everyone to see. Outside of hobbies, we do have lives.
Sometimes, but despite of hobbies, I have lives. I can tell you, I got so much. My granddaughter's birthday, not my oldest granddaughter, but my second granddaughter, who turns, I think, 9. I can't keep track anymore.
Boy.
Yeah. So
you got other miniatures that you helped create.
Yeah, I have others. I just had a week after the ceremony with Arya. All her nursing friends and her principal and her delegating nurse and some of the school nurses in the county took Arya out to sing karaoke, which I thought was great. So my Shara, her mother, and my younger daughter Zoe went to Chili's.
Oh.
And so we were just talking about I've got Kyla, who's 13. Dean, I believe, just turned 9. Eliza's getting ready to turn. I think on Tuesday this week she was like 7, 8. And then now we have Evie, who's just hit 6 months.
Oh boy.
And Zoe goes, "Do you know that when Evie is 13, Kyla will be 26?"
Oh.
And I went, I didn't say anything, and Shara kept talking to her, and I'm just sitting there, and she goes, "Dad, are you all right?" And I said, "Do you realize that when Evie hits 13, I'll be 74?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah." And I'm like, "Yo, yeah."
Thanks for the gentle reminder.
I had to struggle to get to 61.
And look at you now.
Yeah, I know. That's my point.
Hey, I just turned 55, so
I am a walking example of a 61-year-old man with a 14-year-old brain, because I'm sitting here surrounded by toy soldiers and paints, and I went out and bought rocks and trees yesterday, and so
I still love the story Darren likes to tell every once in a while, where he talks about, I think it was one of his roommates or his somebody that he knew, and he would go out in the yard and get a rock and put it on a base, and then he would paint the rock. And it's like, why are you painting the rock? Well, so it looks more like a rock.
They're not in scale.
Yeah, so you gotta paint them a little bit and make them get those edges to pop out.
You go out in the yard and you pick up a pebble.
Yep.
And you put it on a base. It's a pebble on a base.
Right.
You take that pebble, glue it to your base, add some putty around the bottom, put some grit around it, paint it, dry brush it, add some detail. You now took that pebble and made it a rock.
Yep.
So, and if you're me, you put somebody standing on it. So
tactical boulders.
Absolutely.
Gotta have those tactical boulders, and I am looking forward to seeing what you do with your Space Wolves. I am excited.
I am following the guys from Tabletop Tactics. I have for quite a while. which I can't wait till the Dave Taylor just went over there to do a battle report with them.
Cool.
They haven't posted it yet. But Fletcher is one of the. I've watched Fletcher forever painting. I'm not forever, but I've watched him throughout time. I've seen his stuff. But he just did how to paint Space Wolves, and his Space Wolves on this thing are gorgeous. And they just released part 3 of this tutorial, which is the bases.
All right.
And I was taking notes on what, because one of the things about miniature painting, a lot of guys do original stuff, and then the rest of us rip that off,
right,
and make it our own. You know that better than most with my Hulk base, which was originally your style base.
Yes. Good morning, Victor.
But I always say I'm going to steal that. I'm very clear about that.
You're up front. You let us know exactly what you're going to do.
I like that idea. So I went out and that's what I bought the rocks for. What I bought the branches for. I still have to find some lichen, which is a little harder to find than it used to be. And then I got to get some little longer tufts. So I'll find those too. So
all right. Well, very cool. Look at the scale model sections of stores.
We'll figure it out. The Hobbytown's got a really nice selection. So
all right. You got a Hobbytown close by?
Yes, about a 20-minute drive up in Bear, Delaware. So
very cool. I actually went to Hobby Bench yesterday.
Oh,
I was more curious. Did they close the 43rd Avenue and Bell store? It's still open.
Right.
The only one left. Yeah, there's still the one Hobby Bench left, which is nice.
When I was there, we had 5.
Yeah.
5. Well, at one point we had 5. Then we actually closed Sun City, which dropped us to 4.
All right.
Because when I started at Paradise Valley Mall, and at that point in time, they had Paradise Valley Mall, 19th and Northern, which was the original, and then they had the Sun City store. And then Lee made me inventory control manager of all the stores. I built the Prescott store when he opened the Prescott store.
Yeah.
And I helped build the 43rd and Bell store, and then they closed Sun City. And now he's just down to the one shop.
Yeah. So. I like what David wrote. We don't rip it off. We emulate others' techniques to simulate their success.
You can already tell he's working as a sales guy in a hobby shop.
Yeah. Well, this is David Hummel.
Okay, he's probably worked somewhere in a game shop too.
Probably at some time.
Skill set. It's all about skill set.
It's all about skill set.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hummel. I just saw David and thought it was a few. We have too many Davids.
Oh, we used to have a bunch. Well, we had the biggest confusion we ever had was Lemmy or Lenny's.
Yes.
Because I always called them Lemmys. That's just my love for Lemmy.
There you go.
That's a whole nother story. So I wonder how Lenny's doing these days. I saw Lenny number 2 not at the Gamers Garage sale. He was doing good.
Right. I see Lenny Graves online all the time. He's on Instagram quite a bit, doing his tarot card thing. So he seems content.
Good.
He pops in once in a while, so I'm happy for him.
Yeah. So
So
outside of that, anything else going on in your world?
Nope. Today's a birthday celebration for my little granddaughter, and then I have been so rushed with all the changes in my schedule and all the stuff going on at Battlefront. Mm-hmm. Which again, I wanted to give an update. Rob is doing well since his heart attack. But I have been pushing through projects and everything else to the point that I have got the debris, as you can see.
Yes.
I've got the debris of like 5 projects. So after I get back from Eliza's birthday, I'm gutting this table, I'm gutting this room, and I am organizing it so I can actually feel like I'm not lost in my own studio. So
very cool. I'm excited about it. David Hummel actually ran 2 game stores and worked as a merchant manager at Barnes & Noble. So, yes, he has.
So my statement stands.
Your statement stands strong. So that's awesome. Well, I don't think I'm just going to work on hobby stuff today. Saturdays are scale model days for me now.
Awesome.
So on my Saturdays, if I've got nothing going on, I'm working on scale models. I'm working on my CUDA body, trying to get the little vents. I'll see if I can pop this up. Trying to get them. There's these 4 vents right there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That I need to paint silver, kind of like a chrome insert.
Right.
Kind of thing. I went out to when I was at IOG yesterday and got some Tamiya tape. I got 1 millimeter and 3 millimeter tape. I thought the 1 millimeter would be thin enough to go between the vents, and it's not.
Yeah. No, 1 millimeter, when you think 1 mil, you're thinking, oh, hey, that's pretty thin. Then you buy the tape, not that thin.
No.
Here's what I did, because I have basically all the Tamiya.
Oh, where did you get? Is that linked together? Is that like one big?
No, it's just 4 individual.
Oh, okay. I got it.
But what I did with they have 3, 2, and 1 mil.
Yeah.
Whoop, my camera's in their place. I have all 3 on that.
Very cool. I like that.
So yeah, I got the 1 mil, 2 mil, and 3 mil. And I just pulled out which one I need. They all 3 fit in one of the old one of their. Rather than throw these away, if I had an extra one, because they didn't have any refills for it.
Right.
I ended up having one spare. So when I bought the 1, 2, and 3 mil, I just stuck them in this. So
David or Matthew's playing a 30K game today. Matthew, where are you playing at? I don't know if I'm going out and about. Maybe I'll swing in. And David said, skill set assessment on point, sir.
On point, sir. You need to wear your going.
I don't want to, because then everything reflects, and I didn't get the anti-reflect glasses.
Welcome to my world.
I know. You have to wear them all the time, though. I just have to be able to see small. Andy had to.
Stop. Key word. I just have to be able to see.
Okay, that's true. Matthew's gonna. Okay, very cool. I don't know if I'll be on that side of town, so
yeah.
But I thought maybe you were gonna be over in your neck of the woods someplace. Yeah. Last week when you were texting me, I was driving.
Right.
So I couldn't answer the text, so I had Andy do it. And she looked at my phone. She goes, "No wonder you can't see your phone. Your font is so small." So she upped my font on my phone.
That helps.
Because I obviously had it set. I don't know what font it was set at, but she upped my font. So that was nice. And are expensive these days. Yeah, they can be.
There you go.
I may have to invest in that. Did my wolves
as lunar wolves,
space
wolves, which means eventually he becomes the sons of Horus and turns to chaos.
Yay! Love it.
Nice little progression.
A little story arc about how the space wolves become.
I have to tell you, I have been doing one thing when I do have spare time that I'm actually thoroughly enjoying.
What's that?
I'm reading the Rogue Trader rules. Jake and I have talked about on a couple of occasions about doing an Adepticon Rogue Trader game.
Yes.
In the open play area, and inviting people to participate. So I thought if we actually manage to pull this off, or actually maybe get something scheduled, I need to read these rules.
Yes.
Now, back in the day, right now I couldn't quote. I mean, I know a few of the rules for 10th edition, and I'm getting more comfortable with them the more games I play.
And then 11th will come out.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's fine, because it won't be that big of a change.
Right.
But going from Rogue Trader to where I'm at, I used to know the rules like regular players know the new rules, 10th edition.
Mm-hmm.
I have come across so many rules I forgot.
Yeah.
And there's a part of my brain, how in the heck did I know this page and verse, back in the late 80s, early 90s? Because it is a completely different game.
Yeah.
But it is so much fun. I had forgotten that large models were +1, small models were -1 to hit.
Right. For
every 10 inches of vehicle moved, you had a -1 penalty to hit. So Eldar jet bikes were at times really, really hard to hit. It's just been fantastic. You had to know there was hardcover, soft cover. It's just so much different stuff.
Well, it was more of an RPG game back then.
It was. You can definitely see the RPG roots in the game on how it's played. It's just been a lot of fun. And but I'm gonna have to read them maybe a dozen more times to where I can actually sit down and run an event where people are playing this game. And I got out my and then of course writing the list, because as you're writing the list, I'm going, oh look, this item costs 4.5 points. It's like 4.5 points, half a point.
Yes.
It's just fantastic. It's just been a lot of fun. And if we never actually get the event off the ground, because everybody thinks we're crazy or we just can't get the time to do it. Because it's 100% a luxury event. There's nothing weighing on this at all. Nothing fails if we don't pull it off, other than me maybe being disappointed.
Matthew just chimed in. The rules actually stated it was better to have a GM.
Better have a mediator. Yeah, which initially the first couple games I played, we had that. Right. But eventually you just get the rules down and you're just going along and doing it. And I understand where, people talk about, one of the things GW has done is kind of streamlined. I don't want to use the phrase dumbed down, but streamline the rules for less conflict. I don't remember having a lot of conflict. I remember having some very interesting debates.
Sure.
But in the game, if we hit a point where we were either interpreting a rule differently, we just dice it off and go. Or we'd ask somebody, step in any way you think, and we just move on. There was not a lot of, this.
Right.
It was just really okay. I mean, Darren and I've got one of the best stories ever when him and I talk about a graviton gun. And I was 100% completely wrong. I admit that now. But even when he and I are in the room, I will not give in. I'll go, nope, I would think I was right, because they used a description to describe how who could use the weapon.
Right.
And my interpretation was it said that Space Marine, Tech Marines were essentially tech priests.
Right.
The graviton gun rule said it could be used by squats and tech priests. My interpretation was, well, since tech Marines are essentially tech priests, tech Marines get it as well. Darren said absolutely not. And that was an ongoing debate between him and I. And it was never heated. It was more done and fun, but and he was absolutely correct. It was not, but I was like, but it was just the fun of the fact of him and I just debating that point. But I'm having a ball with it. I mean, and I'm right now in a terrain. Every type of terrain had a different move. It was just insane. I'm having a ball with it. Yeah.
Morning, JP. Good to see you. Yes, we can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Matt, right now, Jake and I've had 2 conversations about it. Jake seems pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited about it. And what we're going to try to do, right now we are talking about getting a plane and taking off. That's where we're at. We haven't even got the plane yet. We just said, hey, we should get a plane and do this. Is the best analogy I got. We're talking about having a table in the open area to play a big Rogue Trader game, first edition 40K. If it never gets off the ground, who knows? But if we do get it off the ground, it'll be an Adepticon.
But you're using modern miniatures.
Well, yeah, you don't have to have the old miniatures. We're just figuring all you need to do is find a way. Like, for example, all the rules for them are out there. I've got the initial compendium, which gives me an actual official squat list, which is the first expansion for 40K, was the companion.
Right.
All the rules are in the Rogue Trader book, which you can buy from GW or pick up in a used bookstore. So you can write a list. I don't care if you use new models for it.
Yeah.
I don't care if you use models to represent things for it.
Yes.
I just happened to be lucky enough because somebody pointed out that Bo was selling a gigantic number of squats, and I bought them all. That would be you.
Yeah, I have a tendency to do
so
that.
I have squats and exo armor, trikes on bikes. I have a living ancestor. I have a box. I have that.
Yo, look at that. Space dwarfs.
So I'm gonna slowly build between now and Adepticon next year. Even if we don't get it, even if the game never happens and we just talk about it and I read the rules and built and painted a squad army, I'm going to be content.
Now Adepticon's getting ready to kick off, isn't it?
No, Adepticon just happened.
Oh, it just happened. Yes,
in March. I think March. Yeah, March. I think it was in March.
So next year, I think tickets go on sale. Manic Games makes some good squat proxies. Ooh,
yeah.
So tickets for Adepticon 2026 go on sale in January. So you'll have to save your pennies.
Well, Jake's got a good relationship. Hank, I think is his name, that runs Adepticon. He does also Adepticon. But like I said, we've had 2 conversations about it. Jake's a busy man. I'm just a confused old man. So if we get it off the ground, we get it off the ground. If we don't, we don't. But one of the side benefits for me is I am just loving reading Rogue Trader again. because it brings back. And the funny part about it is, as I'm reading these rules, I arrived in Phoenix in 1990. I got a job at Hobby Bench. I talked Lee Peaster into bringing Games Workshop into Hobby Bench. I put Games Workshop in the PV Mall Hobby Bench. I put Games Workshop in the 19th and Northern Hobby Bench. When I left, then we built the two stores. I put Games Workshop in the Prescott store. I put Games Workshop in the 43rd and Bell store. And then I left and I went to Hobbytown USA. Brought Games Workshop into Hobbytown USA. We actually talked the landlord into giving us an empty suite in the shopping center, and we had like every other weekend we had a big games day where we had this it was like a maybe 2,500 square feet, maybe more, where we put up a bunch of we literally sawhorses with plywood on them.
Right.
And but I met all these guys that kind of started following me around from Don Childers was one of them.
Yep.
Follow me around from store to store. But I taught most of these guys how to play 40K at the start. Then I drew other people like Tim Dvorak started coming in when I had when I did Waterloo on the north side. I just met all these guys, and we had this little group that played on a fairly regular basis. So, and then we started playing. We all played Warhammer Fantasy. It was just a great day. So I'm enjoying the heck out of rereading the old Rogue Trader rules and just kind of
going a little nostalgic.
Yeah, it's been cool.
JP just chimed in and said that Origins is next week, Historicon's in July, and Gen Con in August. So the next 3 months.
I will be at Historicon offering some helping hands to the painting competition with Dave Taylor.
All right. Historicon's not that far from you.
It's like 40-minute drive. It's not that far at all. So.
Okay.
No need for a hotel. I can migrate back and forth.
Parking. Is it just a 2-day or a 3-day?
I think it's a 3-day event. I think
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. I'm going up on Saturday. I'm going to try to get some a space in Wally's basement, which is their big flea market, because I want to try to sell some of my excess stuff.
Yeah.
But I did talk to Dave and said, hey, if you need a pair of hands for it, because David kind of runs the painting competition at Historicon.
Okay.
Which my big Dreadnought won second place there last year.
And Historicon is not just historical miniatures. It's
predominantly historical miniatures as far as the theme goes, but there's all games are played there. They have open gaming, and the miniature competition is just miniature painting.
Yeah.
Whatever miniature.
Whatever miniature you want to add, you can just add it, which is kind of cool. Never been to Historicon, never been to Origins, just Adepticon, Gen Con, local cons here.
Origins a good event out in Columbus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been there many times.
So I may have to venture out to some of these. Adepticon would be nice to go to next year, because now next year will be the third year at the new venue.
Second.
Oh,
last year was the first year.
Okay, so that'll be the second year. So hopefully they can get all the kinks worked out. I don't think there was anything.
I didn't see any kinks last year. I went off like the only problem I encountered was not an Adepticon problem. It was a Jeff problem. Because it was a new layout, I failed to locate the open gaming area. So I'd work in the booth all day, and then I walk around. I made it to I made it to Golden Demon, all the other stuff, but I never actually found the open gaming area.
Okay.
I know where it's at now because I had walked past it in all of my different trials and tribulations. But it's in a great location. I went off without any problems at all. It was great.
And maybe now when you move a big convention like that, obviously attendance is always a concern, because they were in Chicago for ever.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of the locals may not have been able to make it. I don't know the distance for driving.
It's not that far. I think it was less than an hour north of them.
Then it shouldn't have had that big of a hiccup.
No, they didn't. I don't think the biggest benefit of being there was one of the problems they had where they were at is if you wanted to play like any kind of a historical game, you were in a venue across the street and had to drive there to participate in those events. Now it's all in that one area, and it's a fantastic convention center, really laid out nicely. They did a great. They as always did a great job.
And from the videos I saw, they've got plenty of room to grow. So hopefully, over time, Adepticon will be in par with like a Gen Con, as far as attendance goes, and because their growth potential's there.
Yeah, they do. But the thing I like about Adepticon, um, it has always felt, and I've always worked it with either Games Workshop or Battlefront. It always feels like a hometown show. It's really different. With Gen Con, you get the corporate
Yeah.
I'm at Gen Con feel because it's like with San Diego Comic Con. It's just this big corporate thing. It's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Hi, Mark. What's going on?
Mark has joined us.
Adepticon, it just feels like a hometown show. Like you're going to your hometown show.
And I think the reason you get, because I've been there twice, and the reason I feel that way is you've got a lot of people playing older games that you don't see anymore. So you're kind of opening your eyes to that. And you got a lot of people playing like custom games. One of the big ones is the Titan game, where they've got the Forge World Titans and they're playing Titanicus, the old rules. Maybe they moved to the new rules. I don't know. Haven't been there since then, but they've got the big game, the big Forge World models out there, and they got these scaled buildings, and they're just stomping around, and it takes up like a huge footprint on the floor.
I think what I like best about it is when I go to Gen Con and I leave the dealer's room, I can literally walk from the dealer's room to my hotel room because it's usually in one place. Right. And there's not a whole lot of exposure to the convention as I'm making that journey. Little booths here and there, but nothing. At Adepticon, I walk out of the dealer's room, I feel like I'm in a carnival or a street bazaar because I'm impacted with I'm at a show. This is what's going on. And whether it be food vendors or other gaming vendors or other events, you're never out of that. You're never out of that immersion. So it's just awesome. And you run into people you haven't seen in forever.
Well, now with it being at that convention center, you've got outside things. Like when it was in Chicago, you're pretty much staying in the hotel the whole time.
There's not a whole lot around it, no.
There's nothing like you've got the other hotel that's close by. There's things you can drive to, but there's nothing within walking distance to where to go eat or anything. That's why I loved Las Vegas Open.
Sure.
When it was at Bally's, because at Bally's you could just go down into the underground shopping center, and you could go to the different hotel. Now that it's over at the Rio, it's a little bit off the strip, and it's not as connected to the strip itself. So it makes it a little bit less appealing to me, because I go to LVO with my wife, and she likes to go shopping. And when I told her about the Rio, she was like, "Yeah, I'm not going." And that just kind of deflated that real quick. But yeah, so now with the new venue, it's going to feel a little bit more like Gen Con, because Gen Con is at a convention center. And when you leave Gen Con, you're out on the street. You have different restaurants you can explore. You have different places you can go.
And you get the feel of the city that you're in, you know. And there's a ton. I mean, like I said, when I come back from Adepticon, I had the best steak I ever had in my life. It was directly across the street from the entrance to Adepticon.
Goofball rambling about Mark, you were not a goofball. We enjoyed having you on the show.
I don't miss him at all.
I miss you tremendously.
Of course.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting on next year. You know, I'm sure people are going to start signing up in January. The thing that benefits for me going to the new location is flights are a little bit cheaper.
Sure.
Because just when you go into Chicago, flights are it's just expensive. I'm assuming it has something to do with the airports themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But going to the new one, flights are just slightly cheaper. And any penny saved going to Adepticon is another penny I get to spend on miniatures I'll never paint. So Fairmont Street. Oh, whoop. So LVO did move. Okay. I wonder where they're at now.
He says they're by Fremont Street, and it's in October.
Oh, okay. Well,
and Mark, you are welcome back at a time. As a matter of fact, as we talked about, I'm looking forward to having you back after you get back from the next show you're at. So you can show off some pics and your entry and let us know how you did. It's just nice because one of the things I think I enjoyed most about it, and actually I've gotten a couple of guys that have watched the show that have actually contacted me and said how much they enjoyed it, is it's what we do, but yet it's not in some cases.
Yeah.
Fine scale modeling is a different kettle of fish as far as how you use the techniques that we all know,
right,
and the supplies that you use. But all the stuff can interchange from hobby to hobby. So nice. It was nice having you on the show.
Yeah.
So we look forward to having you again, sir.
Yeah.
Do not hurt me actually saying that.
So, I saw a little sweat roll.
I have to go see my doctor now. I think I hurt my vocal cords.
That's fun.
Being nice to Mark.
Mark it was fun just having you on the show.
It was fantastic. It really was.
All right, let's stop stroking his ego before.
Yeah, he'll be blowing up my phone later, going, "Ha ha, you like me? I'm not a bad guy."
Expo at the World Market Center. I'm gonna have to look in. I'm assuming, David, you're talking about LVO because you're probably typing away on your computer, telling us what's going on.
Didn't you guys just have Fan Fusion?
Yeah,
I didn't.
I haven't
heard anything.
We stopped going to Fan Fusion
when it became. I think it was when it became Fan Fusion, wasn't it?
Well, no, we went to a few.
Didn't it used to be Phoenix Comic Con?
Yeah, that's what they changed it to. Is Phoenix Comic Con or Phoenix something? It's they can't use the word Comic Con anymore.
But before San Diego Comic Con got a bee in their bonnet, it was Phoenix Comic Con.
Yes, it was.
And then I think when all that stuff from San Diego came out, they changed it to Phoenix Fan Fusion.
Yes,
I just saw some posts online. I had forgotten it was that one weekend. I thought that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and we kind of it's just changed. And I don't know. I don't want to get into the drama on why it changed. Confusion.
That's appropriate. From everything I've heard, that's kind of appropriate.
So it just isn't the same anymore. Mainly because I really just went to see the cosplays.
Right.
I love watching everybody walk around with their costumes and all that stuff. Well, they've limited what you can bring in as a costume anymore, and it's just like people walking around with bananas in their pocket.
I have worked shows for Workshop and for Battlefront for years. One of the things I've noticed about shows is shows have a tendency to take on their own personality based on the people that run them.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I fully believe that LVO and Adepticon are a different feel than other shows because of who run them.
Yep.
And I think Gen Con, although I like the show, has become such a big beast. It's more like a corporation than a convention.
Yeah.
Kind of a corporation kind of showing things off and letting other people come in and show things off.
It's almost like an what's the thing in Reno? Gamma?
Yeah. Well, Gamma's now was in Kentucky or Tennessee this last.
Oh, they moved it. But it's
they're not even in Vegas anymore.
But it's just people showing new product.
It's all about the gaming industry as far as from the retailer and manufacturer side.
So Matthew commented Fan Fusion was so packed, but they did have games up on the second floor. So sounds like Matthew went to.
It seems like an event, but I noticed when there were some changes going on with Fan Fusion or Phoenix Comic Con, there were changes in upper level, and I'm not saying good or bad. They're just changes made. But from everything I've heard, because I actually went there once, from what I've heard, the feel of the show changed a bit.
Yeah, well, it was because there was some crazy person that did something stupid, and because it's at the Phoenix Convention Center, Phoenix had a lot to do with some of those changes.
But that goes back to my point that a convention takes on the personality of those involved in its running and creation.
Yeah, and because it's the Phoenix Convention Center, they have a lot more control.
Very well put, David. Yeah, it loses its soul.
We love our souls.
I don't have one.
I collect souls. I have a good collection of souls.
You don't have mine because I didn't have one to give you.
Someone else got it before me. They're like Pokemon. I try to get them all. I actually was watching a video. Who was it? It's one of the channels I enjoy watching. Anyways, there's a new game out, and part of that game is going around collecting souls. Yeah.
How Old Testament of you?
But yeah, so God, who was it? I forget which channel it was. That's sad. Oh, I forget his name. I know what he looks like, but I can't remember his names. But anyway,
Welcome to old age.
I guess the distraction from his videos is he has like a stuffed frog that's part of his videos. Like he's not a ventriloquist or anything, but he just has like this prop frog that he uses, and the frog is the attention of the video. But there's a new game that he talked about, and I looked into it, and it's one of those things where you go around collecting souls. So
yeah, Gam is in Louisville. It's been in Louisville for maybe 2 years. The faction wants to move it out of Kentucky, even though Louisville is a very blue and very diverse city. Okay. I remember when San Diego Comic-Con lost its soul in the early 2000s. I would completely agree with that, David. My buddy Nate and I went for 3 or 4 years in a row. No matter what we were doing, we got together at Comic-Con or at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was fantastic. But from everything I hear now, it's just become a corporate monster.
And David, number one, it's MS Paints. That's who the YouTube channel is, and he did a little. Look what I picked up at. Tim just chimed in too. I guess other fans of MS Paint are on the show. So, speaking of old games and nostalgia and going back in time and all that wonderful stuff that we love, old people like to do.
Swear to God, if you bring up euchre, I'm going to slap you.
Bring up what?
Nothing. Go on.
Okay. I just heard you were going to slap me, and I got a little
euchre. It's an old game.
Uncle Adam did a little video recently, and he talked about Shadow War Armageddon and how he's like, can you revise an old game? How do you bring back an old game? He's just having like a little conversation. And it took me back to when, because that was released at Gamma, if I'm not mistaken. And you were there when it was released.
Shadow War Armageddon was Necromunda 2nd Edition repackaged.
Yeah.
Almost verbatim.
Just changed a little bit of the like army list and things like that, but rule mechanically.
Darren and I sat down to start to play it at the booth at the show.
Yeah.
And he and I look at it, and we both go, this is just Necromunda 2nd Edition. Some of these paragraphs are verbatim from the book. And we started just and the guy tried to help. Oh, no, we got this. And we start moving stuff around. It was funny.
Just go away. We got this. This is under control. SWA is a terrific game. Oh, yep. Just reading it the other day. Yeah. So
it was a great game. We had a ball playing the demo, but for Darren and I, we literally told him, no, we got this. And we just at the demo table for like 20 minutes just playing 2nd Edition Armageddon or 2nd Edition Necromunda.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat that Uncle Adam was talking about it because it was boom, hit hard, and then GW just walked away from it because that's when they brought out Necromunda, and maybe that was a little bit of a teaser.
My personal feeling was GW on many, and most companies do this. GW, because it also came out with a lot of terrain.
Yes. Oh boy. Both of our phones are kind of going on.
There was a lot of terrain released, and I think that was their way of clearing that terrain out.
Yeah.
To bring in the new terrain.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing because it was a great deal. It was great terrain. There's a whole stack of it over there.
Dude, I bought 2 boxes of that terrain.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think that I think that was a vessel. It was a great. They took this. We got this. We're going to repackage that. We're going to shoot it out the door, and we're going to make some money. We're going to clear all the old stuff and move on. And then boom, new Necromunda, new terrain, everything.
Yeah. But it was cool, and it got me look. Now I never knew that Shadow War Armageddon released a standalone book, but they did.
Yep.
And it has all the army lists because when it came out, it was a thin book, typical in the game box type book. And they put all the army list online. And while I was watching Adam's show, he talked about the standalone release for the book and how it has all the army list in it. Jumped on eBay, let my 9.5 fingers do the typing, and found it. Believe it or not,
9 5/8. Let's give you a
believe it or not, that standalone release is selling cheaper than what it sold originally. It's not getting the out of production crazy prices that you normally see with out of production stuff from GW.
I think it was great. I think it was fantastic. I bought a ton of it, but not so much because I wanted to play the game, which I didn't mind playing the game. It was a great game, but the terrain was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Joe was asking about Euchre. The game, the reason I call it old person game was that's the game that my mom used to play with friends. They'd come over and they'd sit and play Euchre. And it's a great card game, and I learned how to play it, and I love playing it, but it's an old game. It's an old card game.
Do we have photos to show off today?
I have, I think, 6, maybe 7.
All right.
Wasn't a whole lot in the Discord. Very disappointing, but also very thankful to some extent because I woke up late.
It's all good.
It's kind of a, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
All right. I'll let you switch it out.
Speaking of terrain.
Look at this. Looks like what is this? Joe, what is this terrain from?
This is something Joe's working on.
Yeah, Joe, what's this from, buddy?
It is. I know the game. I was being okay. Took me a while to realize what I meant by PITA.
Tom, Rob, and I are talking about for a few months. In fact, I'm going to build a Nurgle Marine Force. Very cool, Tim.
Cool.
Anyways, Joe, where's this terrain from? Because it looks familiar, but I don't know why it looks familiar.
And it's growing.
It's growing.
Developing.
Becoming.
Boom.
It's Dungeons and Lasers. All right. Look at that.
Now looks like a Colombian drug lord home. Yeah. So there it is.
That's actually really nice terrain.
It's getting bigger.
I love it.
And now you gotta paint it.
That's a whole nother story. Luckily, though, it's terrain and trains. You don't have to. You can go crazy, but for the most part, you just need to get some color on it to just add a splash of something to the table.
But it looks impressive. It's very cool.
Now, is this just one kit, or is this multiple kits? Say
hello to my little friend.
Joe, is this just one kit, or is this multiple kits? Because it looks modular, like you can do whatever you want. So, is this just one big kit, or did you have a couple different kits? Because that actually looks really cool. One kit, all right.
This is a fusion of Scarface and Mordheim.
Yes.
So, but look, that looks very cool. I would have had a ball building that.
Yeah. And like everything's going to come off. You're going to have rooms inside. That could be a board in itself.
I can't wait to see it finished.
Yeah.
It's going to look great.
Going to look great. Love it.
And there's where they keep something.
They keep stuff.
Keep stuff.
Keep stuff. Look at that. Oh.
And there's a purple and green model.
What am I thinking all of a sudden? I'm thinking Toy Story.
To infinity and beyond.
To infinity and beyond. Then I'll shoot you.
There you go.
Very cool.
And then Tim did this.
Look at all these little guys. Now, Warlord just announced the Revolutionary War is coming out next.
Oh, nice.
Now I'm excited.
Nice.
Because I love painting British uniforms.
Well, there you go.
I love that style uniform. I just love it. So.
And that's it.
All right. Very cool.
Didn't have a whole lot.
Very cool.
But that being said, I haven't had time to paint anything this week anyway. So.
Nope. Well, hopefully I'll finish up my 3 corn models this week so I can get some pictures posted. I'll definitely get at least one done.
I'm hoping to have I've got some sisters I'm finishing up. I'm still building Emperor's Children, and I'm still building Conquest, which is a big box set that I'm doing here. There's
Conquest,
a lot of models to build. Huh?
You're talking about my Conquest?
No, I'm painting someone else's Conquest.
Is it the one I'm thinking of?
It's the gigantic, huge, big box.
Oh boy.
That one.
Oh, that is. I love that. I so want to get that game on the table. And
that box is empty. I have all the models on a table out in my living room so I can watch TV on my big screen while I assemble stuff.
Which 2-player starters? They do different 2-player starter sets.
I don't know.
Are they orcs? Are they people? Are they skeletons? Are they?
It says 2-player starter to make Jeff crazy.
Oh, okay. That's the special edition
Fire
box.
versus 100 Kingdoms.
100 Kingdom. Those are the Army of Men, basically.
Yeah. And like I said, I've got most of them built, some of them prime, some got paint on them, but they're all out there.
All right. Well, I'm excited because I've got the Wadru, which is basically the orcs.
I've got that. I've got a 2,000 point Emperor's Children army that I've finished building that I have to start putting some paint on. I've got some minor stuff here I got to clear up and go off. I'm just so behind, and I've got wolves in the queue.
And then that's going to be so
and that's hard. Why with my own models, I build the bases first.
Oh.
So that's why I have all the...
Well, you have to wait till you get the models to see how many of them are. No, you already know their poses and all that?
Don't need to worry about that. I'll figure it out.
All right. Very cool. Very cool.
I can start doing that. So
very cool. Maybe for Thanksgiving, I'll do a T-Rex. I just wanted to throw that out there. So, but I am getting excited about Thanksgiving. I know it's still months off, but I'm been watching a lot of Andy's Hobby Headquarter videos on snow weathering, and it's kind of the philosophy behind snow weathering. You know, it's just water-based paint, so it needs to be runny and chippy and all that kind of stuff. So, and I was looking at my tracks today. I have wolves in the queue also. Oh, so Matthew's going to be joining the wolf pack.
I always have wolves somewhere in the queue. So
I'm waiting to see what they do for 11th edition. If they,
I think I'm kind of curious too. I love 10th. Don't get me wrong. I love 10th.
We have a T-Rex,
and I'm loving 10th even more. Rereading Rogue Trader.
Look at David. He's already trying to sell me more stuff.
Jurassic Park scale model.
So. Yes. So yeah. More tanks painted up by Thanksgiving.
Don't you have enough? No. You keep posting these gigantic work in progress pictures. All these tanks you built. It's like he's. Ugh.
Well, then Jason wants to do next year in January. Like we're both fascinated by these 116, these whatever scale tanks that Andy's got out. Those the big tanks. 10th is okay. So we're talking about doing something in January of building one of those big tanks as like a little project that we I built a lot, not paint a lot. 1/16 scale. Thank you, David.
Yep.
I knew the salesman would come out in you. So we're toying around with this. We're talking about, just like you and Jake are talking about Rogue Trader. We're talking about it. We don't know if it's actually going to happen.
That would be cool though.
Yeah, just totally outside my comfort zone.
Well, you like living there, so
I do like I like being comfortable being uncomfortable.
I go a little slower. I stick my toe in. I wonder. I'm curious, and then I take 2 steps back, run, and just dive.
Well, maybe Santa Claus will get you a tank for Christmas.
If he does, I want a Crusader, a Land Raider Crusader.
I don't know if they make those in ones. I don't know. Is that in 16 scale?
They should.
They should,
but they don't.
Could you imagine GW teaming up with like one of the companies that make those highly detailed tank kits if they did a Land Raider? Like cool. That would just be off the charts amazing.
It would be amazing, but because no matter how big GW is, it's still a niche market. It's going mainstream more and more all the time. It's still a niche market. Yeah. So whenever you break off into other areas, that you get a niche of a niche.
Yeah.
So
I'll put it on the list, Jeff. But yeah, so we're just talking about it, just like I talk about a lot of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean anything's going to happen. We just like to daydream.
You'll make it happen.
We like to daydream. I don't know if my desk is big enough for such a massive model.
Yeah. Right now I'm not even sure how big my desk is. There's so much stuff on it.
Mark gave us an FYI. He'll be at Salt Lake City next week for the Rock Mountain Expo.
Get some pictures and then let us know a date after the show that you can join us, and we'll have you on, buddy.
Yeah.
To talk about Salt Lake City, Rocky Mountain Expo.
There you go. If and I can scale up to 160. All right. There you go. You can scale up.
I want to live in Colorado, close to where Mark lives, so I can go raid his stuff.
Connections at home. you do that, David. You talk to Andy and see if maybe they can work something out. Because GW has worked with Joy Toy and who was the other people that put out the McFarlane?
McFarlane Toys did some, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, the unpainted, larger.
GW doesn't really work with them. They go, here's some money, go do something cool.
Yeah, so, and we'll see how things go. So, anywho, Weta. If Weta did it, Weta would just blow it out of the water.
Oh God, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be awesome. So.
Don't even want to think about it. All right. You got anything else you want to chat about?
I have to go pick up my granddaughter's birthday present because I'm horrible. And I have to do some grocery shopping, and then I have to go visit my granddaughter. And then I have to come home and clean this mess that is my studio.
I would recommend you buy her a 1/16 scale model.
At this point, because she's a 9-year-old girl and I am so out of touch with what they find interesting, she's probably going to get a really lovely card and a gift card.
Keep it simple. Keep it easy.
So,
all right, Mark, you got to run. Have a good weekend.
We're running too, buddy. We'll talk soon.
We'll be good next weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, everybody. We're going to cut out. I'm going to go check on my wife to make sure her headache's gone away.
Yeah, give her my best. I hope she feels better.
I certainly will. And if we're just staying home, then I'm going to get to work on my CUDA and see what other things I can break on it. Because, that's how it rolls. So, all right, everybody. We'll be back next weekend for some chatting. Get some painting done. Get some
Absolutely.
And we'll see y'all next weekend.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you later.
All right, bye.